And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Buck with you. Buck, what is going on? How you doing, man?
Nothing, man. We're about to take on like one of the things that we talk about, like we talk about Super Bowls and all this other stuff. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm glad this thing is finally getting here. It always feels like it just takes forever to get to the Super Bowl, man. So I'm glad we're getting there. It's right around the corner. Are you in studio Sunday? Are you in on this thing?
Yeah, dog. We're together.
We're doing the pregame.
Yeah, we get to watch it. We get to watch it early, so it should be a lot of fun to kind of see it how we get down. Should be fun.
Are you doing the halftime thing too?
Yeah. So I guess
me, you, and Rhett. Is that what we got?
Yeah, me, you, and Rhett. While the world is watching Kendrick Lamar, we're talking.
No, not the world. No. Be split 50-50. 50% of the world's watching, Grammy-winning, award-winning Kendrick Lamar, entertainer extraordinaire. But the other half of the country is going to flip over to us on NFL Network without access to highlights as we break down 20 minutes commercial-free chatter about the first half of the Super Bowl. Come hang with us. That's my sales pitch.
It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Keep getting it.
You know me though, like I'll be sitting up there in the back of that viewing room. I'm bringing my tape up there. The Super Bowl's on. I'll probably be watching the Maryland D tackle you told me about yesterday.
Jordan Phillips.
Yeah, that's all I'll be getting in. That's funny. All right, today, Buck, I want to start with some Super Bowl stuff. Then we'll get to a draft topic here. But when we're looking at this Super Bowl, I was just kind of curious your take on it. If there's going to be like a I don't want to say out of left field, but just maybe not the obvious one. If there's going to be someone in this game that we look up and go, oh my gosh, like this person kind of had the game of his life and ended up helping their team win the Super Bowl. Is there a name like that, just kind of the first name that pops into your head, who that would be?
Hollywood Brown.
Woo.
Hollywood Brown showing up the last couple of weeks, right? So I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden the Kansas City Chiefs put up 30 points against the Buffalo Bills. We saw Hollywood Brown play more than he's played because he's been injured. You now have another vertical threat to go alongside Xavier Worthy. It changes the dimension. It's like playing basketball and instead of having just one three-point shooter, and then you got two. It stretches the defense. And who benefits from that? Travis Kelce and everyone underneath. Hollywood Brown, to me, is the X factor because everyone's going to pay attention to Xavier Worthy because of his speed. They're going to try and pay attention to Travis Kelce because of how critical he is to that offense in key downs. Man, that just leaves some one-on-one opportunities for Hollywood Brown to get loose. And this is, in my mind, why they brought him there. They brought him there to be the big playmaker that could do some things. And for a team where we've seen guys like Kadarius Toney and Mecole Hardman make big plays in key moments, it just seems like Hollywood Brown is destined to be a difference maker in this game.
So I was looking at it, and I was looking at this game, and I was looking at it from the other side of it, right? So I'm going to look at it from the Philadelphia Eagles side of things. And if you look at Super Bowls where a defense is kind of taken over, we always say it, with the Tom Brady Super Bowls that they've lost, what has been the, what's been the issue? It's been interior pressure, right? That's a quarterback's absolute worst nightmare. So I'm looking at this Chiefs offensive line who has some really, really good players, and Tooney's played great since he's gone out there to left tackle. And I'm just looking at it, Buck, and there's one name. Like, if we're going to say Waldo, like, where is he? Who is he? Mike Caliendo is the name. That is the one that I'm keeping an eye on. So then you start going, okay, well, you've got Nolan Smith on one side, you've got Sweat on the other. They'll probably chip those dudes on the way out the door. So they're Andy's going to try and slow down those edge guys. They're going to slide to Jalen Carter. They're going to help Jalen Carter. He's going to have four hands on him at all times. So I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, you know what? Uncle Milton Williams, is scheduled to be, he's going to be a free agent after this season. Milton Williams is explosive. He is very dynamic. He's very explosive. And I'm just looking at this and I'm saying, okay, who could kind of like sneaky kind of wreck this game? And I'm like, it could be Milton Williams on Mike Caliendo. Like, that could be a matchup that nobody's thinking about, nobody's talking about. But we always use the phrase, hey, let's clear the dance floor, and ideally you like to clear the dance floor for your best player, which would be Jalen Carter. Andy's too smart. He's not going to let Jalen Carter wreck them in this game. There's no way. So that's why I think the one-on-one, that could be the sneaky one-on-one that helps the Eagles out.
Yeah. Now, here's what I'll say about the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, man, I'll say this. And look, Howie's a friend. I love what he's done in terms of their investment and commitment to the front line. DJ, they create these opportunities for the unheralded guys to get loose. Looking back now and just thinking that Jalen Carter was available, right? And then they took a Nolan Smith who's available at the bottom of the thing. And so now you look at these one-on-one opportunities where you have to account for those guys and they get loose. And then you're going to have Milton Williams just walk into some sacks. Because if you don't account for Jalen Carter will completely wreck the game. He will wreck the game by himself. And that is going to lead to some guys having chances that are going to be there. And we can talk about the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line and putting Dooney out there and all that, but they have been vulnerable up front. And Pat Mahomes can run around, but this is a very athletic front line, and they can get them. And to me, I think that's a good call.
I just think Andy is, and this is a compliment to Andy more than anything else, is that he's not going to get hit with the right hand in this game. And the right hand is Jalen Carter. And then you could say the other right hand is those edge rushers. So you can double Jalen, slide to Jalen. You can chip with tight ends and backs on the edge rushers, try and make them have to work through a lot of mess. But somebody's got to be one-on-one, and that's the one that I'm looking at. I'm going like, okay, maybe that's where that one-on-one is.
It's so funny that we always talk about it, right? And on the previous pod, we talked about experiencing those things. You're right. Andy Reid is not going to get caught with the right hand. No. You may knock them out, but you're going to have to hit him with a left or an uppercut, something that is not what you typically do, and it's going to require somebody else to do it. The chess match between Andy Reid and Vic Fangio is going to be fascinating, and how they try and set this up and how they try and take away the right hand. Because what is Fangio going to go in trying to take away? Like, people will always say, hey, they got to take away Travis Kelce. Maybe. Or maybe he lets Travis Kelce eat and takes away the other guys, knowing that Travis Kelce is not going to produce the big play. But whatever it is, he is not going to let Patrick Mahomes just have a run of the land and do whatever he wants to do. So this has to be a great chess match that we're going to watch.
Now, I'm also curious to see, like, if what the wrinkle is, because Andy's always drawn up, some unique plays that they haven't shown, and Spags will dial up a unique blitz like he did at the end of the game against the Bills. But I'm also thinking, like, what's the unexpected? If you're the Chiefs, you got a difficult pass rush you're dealing with, right? And you've got a young secondary. As someone who's played in the secondary, Buck, you know how important communication is in the back end. And I know if I go tempo, I can tire out the front, and I can force the back end to communicate and put some chaos in their world a little bit. Doesn't it? I just think it makes all the sense in the world if you're Kansas City to come out and try and run a lot of tempo in this game.
Oh, why not? Like, why not try and wear him down? And you know what? I'll say this: tempo is the greatest equalizer. Think about the game. The game is one where emotions are running high. I'll tell you, DJ, it's the most exhausted that you will get in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, because everything is ratcheted up. You're at a fever pitch. So the middle of the first quarter, you're looking for that second win. If you add in some tempo because of all of the stuff that you have, absolutely is an advantage. And if you're able to sustain drives and really get them deep into a drive, yeah, man, that's something that it weighs in your favor significantly.
No question. All right, that was a topic I wanted to hit you on, because I was just curious, like, what comes to mind when you're thinking of maybe something outside the norm that ends up winning this ball game. So, Buck, when I was looking at it, I'm sitting here at the Senior Bowl, and I've just finished up my top 50. You kind of send it in, and I'm looking at it, kind of going over it, and I'm like, man, do I have too many defensive linemen in here? Like, I have 16 defensive linemen in my top 50. Like, I don't remember that in the past. And I'm just going through. I'm like, no, those, I can make a case. There's a couple more I could have snuck in there. And then you go and you visit with a bunch of buddies around the league, and as they're starting to get deep into this draft process, everybody's kind of on the same page, man. This is what this draft is. This is a defensive line draft.
And DJ, we've talked about for so long, if you want to be a championship team, you got to build it in the trenches. Like, we have enough evidence to see that the teams that are always in the hunt are teams that have committed to drafting in the trenches. This is one where you're philosophy matches what is available. Because the guys that you're going to mention that we're about to talk about in this mock draft, they all are worthy of being graded in the first round. Like there are no reaches. There's no, oh, well, I think no. These guys are kind of tried and true players that you certainly deserve to kind of put in that first round consideration, that first round class.
Yeah. As you look at that mock draft, I had Abdul Carter going to the Titans, which, that was more off of that, thought when they came out and said, we're not going to pass on a generational player. It's like, okay, well, that was kind of made some sense to me. That's why I was leaning for a fit there, put him next to Simmons. And now you got, a pretty explosive defensive front. Mason Graham to the Jags. Buck, you can speak specifically on that one. What would he bring there to Jacksonville?
Well, what he brings is an interior presence, someone that is disruptive, someone that is physical, feisty, does a really good job of playing with his hands. And people are going to talk about the arm length. That'll be the thing that we have to figure out with him when it comes to the
body
combine.
type and arm length. That'll be he's going to get hit on both.
He's going to get hit on those things. But I'm going to tell you, man, this dude is a monster at the point of attack. And for a team who, look, desperately needs someone to kind of go with Mason Smith on the inside, to me, I think he's a terrific playmaker. And people talk about Devon Hamilton, whatever, but this dude is different at the point of attack.
Yeah, I think he brings some professionalism too, like just with the way he plays. Like he has a professional effort and performance, impact performance each and every week. Mikael Williams from the Saints, that's just because they've just been creature collectors. Like that's what they've done there in their personnel department. They have found long, rangy, athletic, physical defensive linemen. That's kind of been their MO. And he played hurt this whole year at Georgia, so the numbers aren't going to impress you. But man, this is someone he'll blow up in the spring too, because you're going to see how big and athletic he is.
So that's the thing that we've seen, and we've seen it for a long time. Those big athletic guys that have the prototypical tools, they tend to pop. And I just think about Georgia and the pedigree and the pipeline, because I see it every week when I look at Trayvon Walker, someone who didn't have a lot of sack production, but he had the tools that he's become a guy that has hit double-digit sacks in the league despite not being refined. To me, that is everything. We talk about traits a lot, right? We talk about traits a lot in the scouting community and how it can translate into performance and production. I believe he has the traits that will translate into outstanding production.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how high he goes, because that is the debate: production versus traits. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss had him going to the Bengals at 17. They have got to fix the defense. I would imagine, and we talked about it the other day, they are going to do their best to keep the group intact on the offensive side of the ball in terms of free agency. Put a fence around those guys. Don't let them leave. But in the draft, they've got to get more dynamic. And up front, Walter Nolan, I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he's so twitchy and so explosive. Now he's got a little bit of win the battle, lose the war to him. Like I'd like to see him finish a little bit better, but he's gonna whoop the guy that's over him. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and DJ, there's something to be said for guys that are worker bees, right? We've talked about it. We've seen some of the great pass rushers are not guys that always win with the first move, but they're relentless in their approach. And that competitive stamina matters. And he shows that, he displays that. You get a chance to see it up close and personal, but look, it stands out whenever you watch him on tape.
Yeah, the next one, I just went with a connection there. Kenneth Grant going to the Seahawks. Coach McDonald had been around him in Michigan. That was kind of the math there.
Well, I mean, why not? Like DJ, like we like the inside track, right? And the inside track is knowing the personality outside of the player, knowing what motivates him. And because you've coached him as a young player, you kind of know not only where he would fit in your schemes, but you know what buttons to push to get him to play at his best. Sometimes, look, we talk about mock drafting. Sometimes it's as obvious as digging into those connections and being like, well, that makes sense. Let's connect the dots.
Yeah, absolutely. Shamar Stewart, he might be one of the more polarizing players. I had him going to the Packers because, again, the Packers just seem to find the most athletic SEC front seven defender and take him. So that's why I went with Shamar Stewart. Another one where a lot of disruption, not a lot of production. Saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he is very dynamic, but he is raw. Does not really have a game plan as a pass rusher, but someone who, might be the biggest wild card in the entire draft, regardless of position.
Okay, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers and what is their philosophy? Draft and develop. What did the Green Bay Packers traditionally do? They take prototypes, guys that have the prototypical measurements that play for a long time in the league. What do they believe in? They believe in coaching their guys and giving them opportunities. They also draft guys high, but they are not committed to necessarily playing them early. They'll redshirt them, develop them, and then you'll see a young athletic defense emerge. To me, that is the perfect environment there because they're drafting him before they really need him. And so if it does work out like that, man, if you're the Packers, this is what you do. This is what you've always done from a philosophical standpoint.
Yep, no doubt. You get to the 28th pick, Mike Green from Marshall, who had a phenomenal week down at the Senior Bowl. Didn't end up playing in the game, but is someone who just knows how to rush and would be a perfect complement on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson.
Man, I take this from your old mentor, Ozzie Newsome. Sack production translate. When you watch him at Marshall, those 17 sacks that he got, man, it is speed, explosiveness, power, it's relentlessness, it's high effort, high energy, all that. And I know it's a big number. Some people will say, like, oh, it's a bit of a one-year number because the jump in production was so significant. But sometimes you got to buy on the come. And I'm willing to buy on the come that he's going to be able to replicate it. There, you don't get that many sacks in college and not find a way to get to the quarterback in the NFL.
And go to the Senior Bowl and beat good tackles.
Everybody.
Come one, come all. Bills defense, Derek Harmon out of Oregon, someone who, when you look at all these all the advanced numbers and stuff of like win rate, pressure rate, all that stuff, he's outstanding. And someone, when you're watching Oregon play, just lives on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
The really good player, and we can talk about it. Like it's hard. We can poke holes in a bunch of people, but these guys that are rated as first round players, they certainly have the talent and tools to really make it to the next level.
TJ Sanders out of South Carolina, really good defensive front there. Had him going to the Eagles at 31. Someone who's a little bit undersized in terms of weight, but is really, really quick. 290-ish pounds, but along the interior there, he's long, he's rangy, he's disruptive. And again, the Eagles, and I know this from talking to them, Buck, they don't worry about year one. They set their board based off year 2, year 3. Like that's, we don't need them. We don't need them year one.
Well, if you really think about drafting and the way the process was supposed to be from a purity standpoint, that is what it's supposed to be. You're grading not on what he does year one, but what you expect him to do by the end of year 3. It makes sense. And because they've done a really good job of stockpiling the cupboard, they don't have to force them onto the field. They can be patient and wait for them. Look at what Nolan Smith has done. Look at what they've been able to do with their players when they have taken that slow approach. It takes a while for the popcorn kernels to pop, but they certainly pop in Philadelphia a lot. He would be a great fit.
And lastly, the Chiefs had taken James Pierce, who I have rated higher as a player, polarizing player around the league. He's really, really rail thin, but he knows how to rush, and he is explosive and juicy coming off the edge.
No, it's funny, man, because I think about Leonard Floyd, right, in terms of how thin.
That's a great comp, by the way.
How exactly he was. And you just wonder, but like, I'll say this. I think he had more juice as a pass rush than Leonard Floyd displayed when he was at Georgia. But this dude is good. He has a knack for it. He's tough. I can't say enough about the feistiness that he plays with. Yeah, he's polarizing. But DJ, it's all about like the team fit and what you need. He is someone that we know at a minimum, he can be a situational pass rusher that can come in and get you some sack production.
Well, yeah, no doubt. That's 10 defensive linemen I had going in the first round of that mock draft, which is bananas, which is pretty wild. But I think that's might even be short. Might even have more than that when it's all said and done. That's what kind of draft it is. All right, Buck. Happy Super Bowl weekend. I will see you on Sunday, and I'll see all of our viewers and listeners who are going to come check us out. Kendrick Lamar, come on.
Come on over halftime. You with us.
You get to see the three of us. Maybe some claymation. Are we allowed to do claymation? No?
Maybe.
Be a fun show. All right. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.